Joined by Stevie Nicol, the former Liverpool defender, to talk Liverpool and specifically, Stevie, certain players that are out of contract. A lot of talk has been about Mohamed Salah, but there are plenty others, including a couple who are up in the summer, Origi and Milner. And then we've got the likes of Salah and Mane and various others the following year. As someone who's not only played for the football club, but has also been in charge as a manager of dealing with contracts at New England Revolution. First of all, set the scene here for us, if you wouldn't mind. How do you prioritize who you speak to first, and how does this all work?
Well, I think you have to be very careful that you prioritize for everybody to see. Let's put it that way, because everybody thinks they're important. And if you're showing more loyalty or more aggression to one and another, then some players can take that the wrong way. So yes, behind the scenes you prioritize, but you can't really let it show. I think the first couple they've got to do are pretty straightforward. For me, it depends on the players. You know, Origi, I think he's 26, he's mid-20s. He has to go and play football. You know, if he's happy to sit on the bench for another 3 years, then that's fantastic for Liverpool and Klopp, for the squad. You know, we're seeing right now the importance of having a big squad, and it's paying off now because they're in four different tournaments. As far as Milner, again, I think it's down to James Milner. If James Milner says, I want to stay, then I think you give him a deal. You give him another year. He's 36 years old. So those two, in my opinion, are all about the player themselves. If they want to play more, then they have to go, and there's nothing you can do about it. But if they're happy to stay, then I think you keep them, because you need a big squad.
Salah and Mane both out of contract in the summer of 2023. A lot of the headlines recently, Stevie, have been about Mohamed Salah. Do you think that's just his associates, his representatives, trying to not drum up interest, because he doesn't need that, but just to ensure that everybody is aware that he's out of contract in 2023? And do you think there's a chance that this could be resolved sooner rather than later?
Well, it doesn't seem as though it'll be solved sooner rather than later, to be honest, the way that it's going. And yes, if you're Salah's representatives, you're trying to get as much as you can, because that's the game. You've got to play the game. Try and get as much as you can. And at the end of the day, if you're Salah, then you're happy to let them do that. And you just concentrate on what you're doing on the field. And clearly it's not affecting him. He's been his normal self through. I mean, this has been rumbling for probably 3 or 4 months now, and he certainly hasn't shown any signs on the field of it getting to him. So while that's continuing, then from his point of view, it's great. From Liverpool's point of view, the longer it goes, then the more jumpy they'll get, and the more they'll be pushed into a corner. But my own opinion on the Salah one is, listen, I know you have a wage structure, but some players are worth going above and beyond for, and he's one of those guys.
And the fact that Liverpool can provide him with everything he wants on the pitch, he doesn't have to go somewhere else to win the Champions League. He can and has a good chance of winning it there. And it's the same with Sadio Mane. So how big an incentive is it for these players to know that they don't have to move to Spain? Look, if they want a Spanish lifestyle, a lifestyle in Barcelona, Madrid, or Paris for PSG or Bayern, then that's different. But they can get everything they want achievement-wise on the pitch by staying with Liverpool.
Well, that's the key. If it's about the football, then there's no reason to go elsewhere. If it's about the lifestyle, then that would be the only thing I would suggest that changes it. I don't get the impression either of the two of them, Mane or Salah, are just all about the money. Yeah. I think these days it's you know, players have as little to do with it as possible and turn it over to the people that they pay money to sort out for them. So I don't believe that this is pure and simple about the money. I guess at the end of the day, the one thing that we don't know is, you know, Salah and Mane's family, you know, because I certainly can tell you that the decisions I made signing contracts they were involved. My wife didn't want to move from Liverpool, I can assure you that. And that came into my thoughts whenever my contract was up. And if Mane and Salah's family are of the same thought, then it will definitely come into the decision making when, of course, Salah himself at the end of it will have to sit down with the numbers, with the length of the contract, and of course Mane, and make a decision.
And finally, Stevie, how important is it that the player can trust the agent to do the right thing as well? Because, say, for example, and I know a lot of people are talking about Salah here, but Mane's up at the same time. If Mane says he wants to stay, but the agent then can keep pushing, keep making calls, I can get you this if you move, how difficult is it for a player when he's got his agent saying, yeah, but I can get you more elsewhere? Where does that trust element have to kind of sit between the player and the agent?
Well, it shouldn't be a problem. You ultimately are the one that decides whether you stay for the amount of money that the club are willing to get you, that has been negotiated by your agent. So anybody who's influenced by their agent just because they're saying I can get you more money elsewhere, that's completely the wrong way to go about anything. Players have to take players take responsibility on the field. And when it comes to the contract situation, when it comes to deciding whether you sign it or not, again, ultimately the player has to make the decision. Because if he's making a decision that's not his and things go wrong, then where do you go? Ultimately you make a decision for yourself and it doesn't work out. At least you can look in the mirror and say, well, I had my own fate in my own hands. It was my decision. And so I can move on. But if you do it the other way around, then forever and a day you'll be wondering why you didn't make that decision yourself. So it shouldn't come into it as far as I'm concerned.
You confident both Salah and Mane will sign new long-term deals whenever that will be?
I think so, yes.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.